The feast was an honor, they said. A symbol of the new alliance. We, the first human delegation, were seated at a massive stone table carved from the heart of a fallen moon. Our hosts, the Cathar, were apex predators from a world that had never known weakness. They towered over us, silhouettes of muscle and fang, their eyes glowing like embers in the dimly lit hall. I was Ambassador Thorn, and every instinct screamed at me to run, but fear was a luxury we couldn't afford. The fate of humanity rested on this dinner. So I sat composed and picked up the strange three-pronged utensil beside my plate. All around the table, the Cathar war chiefs and pack leaders watched in silence. Their stillness was more unnerving than any roar. A massive clawed hand, larger than my torso, gently placed a dish before me. It steamed, a medley of colors and scents entirely alien. I could feel the gaze of the predator queen Skora from her throne at the head of the table. She was studying me, my posture, the way my hand didn't tremble. My soldiers, seated among warriors twice their size, mirrored my calm. They were the best of the best, trained for impossible situations, but nothing prepares you for dining with monsters who could tear you apart with a casual swipe. One of the Cathar warlords, a grizzled veteran with scars across his face, let out a low growl, a sound like grinding stone. It wasn't aggression, I realized. It was amusement. He nudged a bowl of what looked like writhing purple worms towards my second-in-command, Captain Eva Rostova. Eva didn't flinch. She simply picked one up with her utensils, examined it with polite curiosity, and took a bite. A murmur rippled through the hall. The Cathar weren't just testing our courage. They were testing our respect for their culture. These weren't just meals. They were rites of passage, sacred offerings. I saw their pack leaders whispering to one another, their expressions shifting from predatory assessment to grudging admiration. We weren't cowering. We weren't disgusted. We were treating their traditions with the gravity they deserved. The turning point came when they served the Glavorak, a creature so dangerous it was hunted only for ceremonial feasts. Its meat was said to be lethal, if not prepared perfectly. The war chief smirked as he watched me, his razor-toothed smile a terrifying sight. I took a piece, chewed slowly, and savored the complex, spicy flavor. Then I looked him in the eye and nodded my approval. The hall erupted. Not in roars of aggression, but in a chorus of deep, resonant bellows of approval. It was their version of applause. Soon, the tension began to melt away. The Predator Queen herself offered me a ceremonial drink from a massive cup, a glowing beverage that changed color as I drank. We offered them our own rations, simple earth fruits. They stared at an apple with bewilderment, the queen holding it delicately between two massive claws, as if it were a fragile jewel. One of the younger Cathar warriors, barely an adult, tried using a fork and spoon, fumbling awkwardly until one of my engineers gently showed him how. The sight of this giant predator trying to spear a piece of dried fruit with a tiny fork brought laughter from both sides. Later, the Cathar musicians played haunting melodies on instruments made of bone. We watched a ceremonial flame dance, a beautiful and terrifying display of power and grace. In return, our delegation performed a simple, respectful bow, a sign of peace from our culture. The Cathar seemed to understand the gesture. As the feast wound down, the queen, Skora, rose. Her voice filled the vast hall, a powerful, commanding presence. For generations we have judged others by their strength in battle, she declared. But you humans, you show a different kind of strength. A quiet courage, a resilience of spirit. You are worthy. Worthy to dine at our table. Worthy to be our allies. She then walked down from her throne, placed a clawed hand gently on my shoulder, and in that moment, the handshake of a predator felt more trustworthy than any human promise. We had come expecting a test of survival, a tense negotiation over a meal. We left with newfound allies, a treaty signed not on paper, but over a shared plate in the heart of a predator's den. Humanity was no longer alone in the galaxy. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell for more tailies from beyond the stars.